Welcome back. We are back on the Range Rover today, not surprisingly. It seems to be taking quite a lot of time of mine at the moment. I recently had a megaflush done by Ian Bodsworth, and Ian noticed that the central bearing on the Propshaft is failing. He said it won't give up on you, but he said I wouldn't go on any European trips. And as that's exactly what we intend to do in this car around Christmas time, then I have bought this GKN replacement Propshaft, which has the replacement bearing already fitted. I've seen videos where you can just change this bit, but I think it's going to take a lot longer. So I've read the workshop manual, and it says remove the exhaust. And that's not a job I really fancy doing, because I know I'll probably break one of the sensors. So I went on the forum, the Full Fat RR forum, and there's a suggestion that you can get it off without removing the exhaust. So let me show you what I think is possible. As high as I want to get it on stands, 2 at the front, 2 at the back. That's the front of the Propshaft. So all pretty accessible. That's the rear of the Propshaft just there. So I'm hoping that I can get the heat shield out the way and get some spanners on it. We'll see how we go. Right, I'm making steady progress. I'll show you what I found so far and how I think this Propshaft's going to come out. So this is the front end of the prop, and it's got this big heat shield. So I've loosened this whole heat shield off, and then there's another separate heat shield that I've loosened off. It goes sort of the full length of the exhaust. As you can see, that's also now loose. I think I can access the middle fixings. See if I can just show you those. Yeah, so that nut is the fixing that holds the central bearing in place. So when I can see it, so I reckon I can get to there with a bar. And I think this Propshaft is going to have to come out forwards from the front of the car somehow, but I'll get to that once I've cleared this. So I'm going to have to take this shield off and hopefully leave this one on. Let's see what these are like. It's going to tell me whether they're going to come off or not, basically. Yeah, well that's not very loose. That's not very tight at all. I'm not sure why it's so loose. I think it's probably because it's got, is that rubber? It would make sense if that's rubber, which is good because it means I can go and get my socket, my wrench instead of the bar. Yeah, so they're all pretty loose, which is good. Let's have a look at the back end. So now I know I can undo all of those without too much problem. I'm sure I can access the middle bit. Let's try the rear end. So this was my next move, to get access to the nuts, to the bolts that fix the rear of the Propshaft to the rear diff. I've loosened all this off, and I've grabbed it, and I've yanked it that far forward. Yeah, so I've now got enough space to get a socket on all these. So my next move is to take the front and rear of the Propshaft off, and then I'm going to move the Propshaft backwards. I don't know much experience of these types of bolts, but they must just be sort of pinching this against the rubber, because they're all now finger tight. Marvellous. Right, it's quite hot under here because I have used the car this morning. I'm now going to go to the rear and undo those ones. Right, these ones at the top are going to be difficult with a bigger wrench, but luckily with this one I can get in there and get them undone, so that is good. Right, that's all the rear ones off. Just do these front ones now. You got one of these sort of semicircular type, it's basically a spreader washer, I think. Takes the force of 2 bolts across the space. Of course, this surface area here, Opti. I think it's loose enough to do by hand, and then it just pinches up again. See? Good, now just the top one. I have now got all the bolts out of each end of the drive shaft. The only thing left to remove is these 2 up here. And I push this heat shield backwards, so I can now get a bolt on that very easily. So that should come out. And then the challenge will be how to get the prop shaft out. So we'll have a look at that together, I think. I've now got the front, the middle and the rear of the prop shaft free. But I think obviously the front and the rear are just kind of stuck to the different drive components through age. So I'm going to give them a hit with a hammer, see if that frees them up. Right, I'll just show you what I've had to underneath. I have sort of pulled this this piece of shield out of the way, just down by the back wheel. But I've refixed this, and I've just hit this one with a chisel at the bottom. You can see the mark there with a chisel at the bottom. It's now come free and then pulls away. It's hopefully going to give me enough space to drop down. So that's good news. I did put a bit of plus gas around this and then went for another cup of tea, because I think plus gas is mysterious stuff. It doesn't work if you're looking at it. You've got to go away, let it do its stuff. This is the rear one. I'm going to try and do the same. Get a chisel on, chisel sort of there-ish, and strike it forward to try and free this back piece as well. Right, so the goal is to try and hit this towards the front of the car to free it from this rear diff. Easier if the car is up in the air, of course. Boom, 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 shake the room. Marvellous, that's that done. Right, now I reckon I can drop that down, hopefully get it in. Let's get these some together. Again, should be easy. Let's see if we can get the prop shaft out. Should be quite an exciting event. So the middle of the prop shaft is released. As you can see, the rear has come down. The front, that's the front bit. That's also going to be free. Come out the back. But anyway, let's have a go. All good so far. Still good. I don't think there should be any reason why it won't. There you go. The prop shaft removed from the front to the back without taking the exhaust off. So let's have a look at the two pieces, see how they compare. Now, although it seems like it's just this middle bit bearing that's worn, there's actually play in this front bit as well, and in the rear, and in this rear end. There's more in the rear. The new one no play at all. So there we are. Not just the rubber bit that wears out, also these two front joints as well. And if I was just changing this bit, I'd have to spend probably another 3 hours faffing about taking this apart, getting that on. As it is, I'm just going to put that straight back on, feeding it through the back. Being quite careful not to damage the middle rubber bit. So I can now tighten these, torque these ones up. This is the front. So these need 42 Newton meters plus 45 degrees, which always baffles me, because 42 Newton meters plus 45 degrees must be another torque setting altogether. So that's not going to go another 45 degrees. That's going to be too tight. And 42 Newton meters actually feels a lot tighter than they were to start with. So I'm going to do all those at 42 and then have another think about this additional 45 degrees. Right, nearly done, which is good. The front and the rear bolts have tightened up. I did them to 42 Newton meters, but I didn't think they were going to go another 45 degrees. Now the last thing is this central mount. It says in the workshop manual, make sure it's not under any tension. So I just want to take a bit of care, making sure this is central yeah, screwed back up. It doesn't go very tight, it's only like 20 Newton meters, so it's just nipped up really. Let's get that done and then the heat shield back on. That's the central bearing bracket bolted back up. I'm slightly amazed that the whole thing is just supported by a rubber sort of flange really. But I loosened the nuts off and just jiggled this up and down to let it find its own place, so the rubber wasn't under tension at all. And then I've just nipped it back up. So that's the prop shaft back on, just the heat shields, and then all good to take a quick road test. Right, that's that done. Heat shields back on. I'll put a quick sort of summary of the costs of this job, just so you can see what it's what you're in for if you need to do it. and I'll just show you again the central bearing support that's expired. Anyway, thanks for joining me for this video on the prop shaft replacement on the Range Rover. If you found it useful, please do consider subscribing. It'd be much appreciated by me. I'm sure there'll be more jobs to do on the L322. So join me again soon. Thank you. Take care. Bye.